A small house with only a couple of rooms and a kitchen stood at the very edge of the town. There was a small garden and a small tool shed on the property. Andrea had inherited it all from her mother, who had passed away several years before. The woman raised her daughter alone. When her mother was diagnosed with a serious illness, it was impossible to help. After Mum's death, Andrea lived alone, although all her former classmates already had families. One day, Andrea was coming home late at night. The weather was freezing and dank. The road went through a small park, and at the very entrance, the girl saw a tall, poorly dressed man. He smiled as if apologizing and began to lie down on a bench, clearly intending to spend the night there. Andrea noticed that his jacket was completely out of season. His jeans were heavily worn and short. The shoes looked even worse. The sneakers were almost ruined, and one was even tied with a rope to prevent the loss of the soles. The rest of the way home, all Andrea could think about was that poor guy. She had no idea how he would survive until morning in this cold. Getting into bed, she could not sleep for a long time, imagining terrible pictures of the dying guy in the park. As soon as it dawned, Andrea quickly got up and started looking for something warm for the tramp. But since there had never been any men's things in the house, she only found a pair of oversized gloves, a warm plaid and a woolen scarf knitted by her mother. Without breakfast, she grabbed a bag of clothes and food and hurried to the park, but the stranger was not there. The girl decided that perhaps the poor man had gone somewhere to get warm. At least, she really wanted to believe that he was somewhere warm now. From work, Andrea hurried to the park, hurrying like she was going on a date. She was lucky. The guy was sitting on the same bench. When he saw her, he smiled again, uncertainly, but it was enough for the girl to realize that there was something about him that made her heart beat harder. "Here, please," she said timidly, holding out the bag. "It's all I can help." "Thank you very much. You are the only one who wanted to help me. I'm deeply grateful, but all I can do in return is walk you home." Andrea agreed. Despite all his appearance, she was very friendly with the young man, and they went down the alley after getting acquainted on the way. To the girl's surprise, Joseph turned out to be very well read, and it was interesting to talk to him. While they were walking, he did not say why he had appeared on the street, and the girl decided not to touch a painful topic. When they came to her house, Andrea suggested they go inside. "I have pie and delicious mint tea. Why don't you come in?" she said embarrassedly, but Joseph refused. "I like pie very much, but it makes me uncomfortable. Besides, I think you're tired after work. But some other time I'll definitely agree." From then on, they met almost every day on the same bench in the park. The locals who lived nearby and saw this strange couple every day only shrugged their shoulders, judging. The slim girl of short height and the almost 2-meter tall guy, who looked more like a homeless man, made many people look behind them with bewilderment. But they were happy together, and they did not care what others would think. They held hands and talked merrily, and it seemed as if there was no one else in the world for them. One day, when this amazing for everyone couple was passing a trash can, they heard a pathetic and quiet whining. The sound came out of a shoebox lying on the ground, and they opened the lid. Inside was a little black puppy. "Oh, who threw you in there? Poor thing. Come with us," said Andrea, taking the puppy in her arms. They wrapped the puppy in a scarf given by Andrea and hurried home. This time, they did not even notice how they came to Andrea's house in their care for the poor pet. When the puppy was washed, fed, and happily snoozed on the blanket, Andrea and Joseph sat side by side on the sofa, admiring the dog for a long time. That day, for the first time, Joseph agreed to stay at the girl's place for the night. That night, they hardly slept. Happy, they made plans for the rest of their lives. They dreamed of living in this house, of raising children. When Joseph said that he wanted at least 3 children, Andrea laughed and said that it was unlikely that they would all have a place in this house. But her beloved, with a serious look, assured her that it would be his responsibility. Andrea, smiling happily, fell asleep in the morning on his shoulders, feeling that this man would not let her down. In the morning, Joseph proposed to her, but instead of a real ring, he put on a ring twisted out of candy wrappers. The girl smiled tenderly. "I agree, because it's love at first sight." She didn't care at all about the guy's status, as long as he was there for her. Over breakfast, Andrea told him not to worry about the wedding. They would just put their signatures on necessary papers, and she would make a festive dinner at home. Joseph kissed Andrea on the cheek and told her not to think about anything and to leave the preparation of the party to him. His enigmatic smile indicated that he was preparing a surprise for his bride. Andrea was not surprised by anything, because the very meeting with him was already a wonderful thing for her. She thought that Joseph just wanted to take care of the dinner himself, and, playfully smiling, she agreed. The whole month before the wedding, all the girl's acquaintances and colleagues tried to dissuade her. They did not understand how she could agree to marry a common street tramp. They said mean words about him, poured all kinds of dirt on him, but Andrea let it all pass her ears and just smiled happily in response. She absolutely did not care what others thought, because she was for the first time truly in love. On the wedding day, she could not hide her surprise when the groom came to pick her up in a nice car, and he looked entirely different. He was clean-shaven and well-dressed. Everyone who came to the celebration was literally dumbfounded. But it was only the beginning. After the marriage ceremony, he invited everyone who came to congratulate them to a festive evening in one of the city's restaurants. Andrea was shocked. At the restaurant, there were beautifully set tables. In the middle of the evening, the newlywed husband stepped up to the microphone. "Today, I am a crazy happy man, because now I am married to the kindest and most decent girl in the whole city. Only she was able to see me as a man with a heart and soul." It turned out that Joseph was a businessman. His parents, who had died in a car accident, had left him a firm and a considerable fortune. Every day, Joseph drove his car to work, and one day he saw Andrea crossing the road in front of that very park. She seemed so beautiful that he decided to certainly get acquainted with her. All his past romances had ended as soon as his girlfriends started pulling money out of him when they found out about his fortune. So Joseph decided to avoid past mistakes and to test out Andrea. And now he was happy that she was the right person who was ready to be with him even in poverty. Immediately after the wedding, Joseph moved his wife and faithful dog into his huge house. A year after the wedding, they had a beautiful daughter, very similar to her mother. Joseph loved his princesses, trying to take care of them and fulfill any wish. A couple of years later, many people were admiring a beautiful and friendly family with 2 babies, walking merrily along the alley in the same park. They looked perfectly matched. A petite blonde mother with a curly blonde baby girl, and a tall, slender father with a baby boy who looked just like him. The man and woman looked at each other with loving eyes and glowed with happiness, causing everyone around them to be charged with this positive energy.